Two, and three. We want to welcome everybody today to Mom and Dad Talks, where our favorite two people are Mom and Dad. And at this time, Mom and Dad are eating somewhere at somebody's house. They're okay, everybody. They're all right. They're okay. But we got a special guest today, a person that I enjoy, one of my good friends. I mean, he's worked with the likes of Oprah Winfrey, Gail Sayers. I mean, he's done it all. He's a top executive. His name is Paul Bryant. How you doing today, Paul? Can you hear me, Paul?
You know, doing it. I'd happy at Mom and Dad's house with you, brother. Absolutely.
Well, Paul, man, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, man. But I mean, dude, I am so excited to have you on the show. I've been trying to get you on it forever. I mean, Paul and I go back almost 20 years. Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely.
Today's subject is something very, very interesting because we know the passing of Sidney Poitier and what he meant to the community. And Paul, you work with a lot of celebrities and everything like that. But from your point of view, what do you think of the effect of Sidney Poitier had on you?
I think the effect is that, you know, he can cause a lot of people to reflect back to a time when there were truly, you know, to a generation of groundbreakers. I mean, people that were the first and only, you know, in their fields. And Sidney Poitier was truly one of those. I mean, many awards, you know, first one to win an Oscar, you know, first one in the movies, you know. I mean, he was the first and only in many situations. And, you know, you have celebrities, some celebrities now that may say, you know what, I'm just getting paid. You know, I'm no role model, you know. But one of the things that Sidney was famous for saying is, like, every move I make, I feel like I'm representing, you know, 18 million, you know, other Black people, you know, out there. He knew that how he did reflected on us all. And, you know, I can just remember as a kid, you know, some of Sidney Poitier's movies were the first movies I can remember, like To Sir with Love. Oh my gosh, you know, great movie. With a Black Man in Charge. The Heat of the Night, when he slapped that white man back, I remember that. I mean, he was a strong image of a Black man. You know, he never played cooning roles. You know, he wasn't tap dancing or step and fetch it. He played, you know, the roles he played were of a strong, intelligent Black man that was in control of himself and his surroundings. And what a great image for all of us to have, to see. And I think his passing is a time that can cause, you know, many people to reflect back to that image, to who he was and what his career stood for. And, you know, hey, Denzel Washington received when he first got his first Grammy, you know, they gave Sidney Poitier a Lifetime Award. And one of the things Denzel said was, you know what, I've been chasing Sidney all my life. And here I win the Grammy and he's awarded, you know, this same night, you know, so I'm still chasing you. I mean, the great Denzel Washington, you know, mimicked his career after Sidney Poitier. So, I mean, it's a huge loss, but I think it's a great time to reflect, because that's one of the things that we, especially as African Americans, need to do is honor and reflect on the legacies of those whose shoulders we're standing on.
I mean, Paul, I mean, we can almost stop the show right there, man. And I mean, what Sidney Poitier represented, positivity. I mean, even in the comedy that he had, it was always positive. It wasn't that negative stuff that you see today, whatever. That we all have funny moments, but it was just classy. He's just a classy guy, and I feel, and I miss him.
Absolutely.
You know, and I hate to transition on this because you're talking about a great man, but he also stood for civil rights. And I know that you're a civil rights guy. You stand for a lot of things in the community to try to uplift and make the community a positive place. I mean, dude, you've done a lot of stuff in the community, and now that you're in Georgia, one of the things that happened in Georgia was the Auburn case of the sentencing. What does that mean, or what is it like down there now? What, you know, I mean, I'm not there because that's a big deal down there in Georgia right now. when they sent those men who killed the black man for life sentences. What does that mean down there?
Well, I think it means that, justice did prevail.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't know if this is, the Southern community is just Paul, but I mean, it's not like it's, excitement. I mean, it's not like confetti is flying around and
Mm-hmm.
people are joyous. I mean, the reality that will never bring Ahmaud Arbery back.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, it's tragic.
Yes.
3 men are going to prison for life.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not a good thing.
Right.
I mean, even I mean that's for their families, for their friends, for them. I mean, it's a tragic situation all the way around. So it's nothing to be joyous about.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess for us as people of color, it's great to see the system of justice prevail for us,
Mm-hmm.
because so often in a situation just like this, it's went the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have it on camera. I mean, look at the Rodney King.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those officers were beating the crap out of him for,
Mm-hmm.
15, 20 minutes.
Yes.
And they found him not guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people wonder, why were Black people so excited when OJ was, pronounced not guilty?
Mm-hmm.
And, white folks so unhappy when that verdict came down, is because for Blacks, we have a history of seeing the system of justice not work in our favor.
Right.
And OJ seemed to be one that, wow, it didn't happen. The Black man got off. And so, what I see with this Arbery situation is, justice can work for everyone, because those guys are guilty, period. I'm not happy about what happened to them. I mean, they're going to prison for life. I take no joy in that, but I take less joy if they were free.
Paul, I mean, it's well spoken, man. And like I said, you've seen a lot of changes in this country, and we all hope that, this country can live up to its creed of being equal and fair and justice for all, and live up to justice for all, not for just a few or for some, but for all people. And let's be citizens, because like I said, it's not something to be joyous about. And Sidney Poitier, he fought for justice,
right?
When he didn't have to. He could have taken easy streak like some people do. I'll pass on this one. It's just too hard for me. And you see those two things happen about the same week, and it's just like, what's this next new phase going to be like for us in this country? Is it going to be better or worse?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. We're all going to come. It's going to come. It's going to boil down.
Yeah.
2022, 2024. These elections, these midterms, and this next presidential election, democracy will be put to the test.
Yeah.
I mean, because reality is, and I'm going to go out here and I'm going to say it. If Donald Trump wins, and if more of his ilk wins, we can kiss democracy, and this, we can kiss the system, this American system, goodbye. Because at that point, it's going to be about people using their power to control. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, Trump fan, independent. I don't care. What happened on January 6th of last year was wrong. There's no justification for that, none whatsoever. The fact that you broke windows to get inside the Capitol and you stormed in there illegally, that's wrong. And, regardless of your motivation, that's wrong. And if we can't agree upon that, if we're supposed to look at that as if they were peaceful protesters, what happens when individuals with that mindset are in control of the White House, in control of state houses, are in control of federal agencies? I mean, they're just going to make laws, change laws, do what they can to support their own personal agendas, and our system will be screwed because that leadership trickles down.
Like I said, Paul.
No, I mean these.
No, go ahead, Paul.
What's that?
No, dude, you were breaking it down, man. I was just the thing caught up for a second, but you were breaking it down. Paul, you just like, I mean, we're gonna have to come back again here and have you on the show, man, because like I said, this is very, very important that people go out there and to vote. That people go out there.
It's huge. This, they always say, Todd, this may be the biggest vote of your life, right? This truly is. I mean, Todd, if we get that wingnut back, I'm gonna tell you personally, I have, we put aside some cash that we have stashed in the house. We've got our passports. I mean, truly, this thing comes down, man.
It's not just you. There's a lot of people that if they can get away, they're gonna get away. It's amazing how many people, not just you, but there's a lot of people that have that same sentiment that I'm packing up for a rainy day just in case this thing goes different. I'm out of here. And yeah.
I mean, look, Todd. I mean, you know what? The Times, we a lot of people, the media, blah blah blah, fake news, Fox, what all of this stuff. I mean, we have talked about, African Americans have talked about, part of our frustration is our story has never been told, really. The slavery piece, the Reconstruction piece, the segregation piece, the Jim Crow piece. There's never really been told. We get to talking about how it was for our ancestors, and folks will look us in the eye. No, it really wasn't that bad. Or, I wasn't there. I didn't do it. And basically, so they're discounting that piece of history. And, once you get in an argument with them, then you lose. I mean, you jump in the ditch with somebody, you're both going to get muddy, right? So once you get emotional about it and start debating, you don't win. Well, so our history, our horrible history, the whole, Oklahoma and Black Wall Street, and all of those stories have been whitewashed in history. What we're seeing here is real time, within less than a year, how they're trying to whitewash January 6th. Just like it wasn't what it really was. And again, if those individuals are able to take power, who knows what they'll do? They've already showed that they will storm the Capitol, break into the seat of our government, and turn it upside down and get away with it. That's accountable. You know what that looked like to me? I'm just going to go here because I'm being honest. I'm sharing my heart, my mind on your show, brother. That reminded me of like a brother being locked up in a jail and somebody saying, you know what, you whistled at this white woman and we're going to come get you. And that mob was out there and there was nothing that could turn that mob away. That's what it must have felt like when there are a group of people that were just down and determined to do whatever it was they wanted to do. And law enforcement really did nothing. I'm sorry. I mean, I shouldn't say did nothing. There were Capitol Police that were trying to defend. But I'm saying this, why didn't you pull out your guns and start shooting at people coming through the windows? I mean, Black people getting shot in their car all the time. You got people busting in windows, climbing through doors and all of that. Why didn't you pull out your weapons and defend the Capitol? They walked in and walked out and walked home.
And some of them, we do know of one dude pulling out a gun and killing someone.
That's right.
And
I'm not against, I mean, but, at some point, I mean, you're there to defend the Capitol. Y'all didn't defend it.
There's a lot of questions. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of questions people have. Why weren't there enough police? Why wasn't there a lot of things there? And and just a lot of questions. I mean, not too long ago from there, you had people protesting a lot of things with Black Lives Matter, and you had way more cops and way more stuff there. And
absolutely,
it's the question that we all have to ask ourselves: is excessive force is used only when convenient, not when it's needed all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And it's out of fear. And think about it. The whole thing was based on fear. And fear makes you do some terrible things because it doesn't make you think. You know,
Right.
so
If defending your seat of government,
mhm.
I mean, the seat of the Capitol, where the United States Senate, I mean, the vice president was in there.
Yeah.
If ever, I mean, you would pull out your gun because you stopped them for a traffic light being out. You know,
Yeah.
You pull out the gun, but
Mhm.
you got people busting windows,
Mhm.
kicking in doors,
Mhm.
and they just come right in.
When you look at the film, people see two different things, just like the Rodney King case. Some people saw it as justice for a man to be beat down like that. That was not justice at that time frame. People saw this Capitol riot. They're saying, well, justice is being done by breaking in and doing this. They talk about looters all the time, right? Oh, something should happen to them. Well, unfortunately, there were looters that day, folk. There was damage in the building there, folk.
Thugs.
And so, and I really think that for a lot of people, and I'm glad we had this conversation today, is to really take a look today, folk, forgetting everything, forgetting all this where you stand on whatever. At some point, wrong's got to be wrong.
Exactly.
Right? Even if you meant it to be right, that action was definitely wrong. You just don't do that.
See, Todd, that is what scares me. I mean, I know I went deep. Someone will listen to this. His brother talking about he got money and passports saved away. Is this the extreme? I'm just saying, when that mindset becomes a majority.
Yeah.
I mean, again, when you really think deeply about it, there are too many photos. You just Google it of some individual that was hung. I can pull it up right now. There's individuals that have been lynched, and you see them hanging, but there are hundreds, thousands of people smiling, standing around to watch that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's real.
Yes.
That happened here in America. And when the mindset can turn like that, history, if you don't know your history, it's doomed to repeat itself.
Yep.
And there was a point in time where you could be snatched. You or I could be snatched right now for saying the things that we said. Oh, you're a troublemaker. Boom. The next thing you know, we're on a gallows, and they send out invitations like, we're going to take care of these troublemakers at noon, and folks will pack picnic baskets and drive and put on their Sunday best to come out there and watch us get handled. And take pictures with their kids, stand in front of our body and like, here we are, in front of this troublemaker. I mean, that was reality. That's part of our story that doesn't get taught, right? Whitewashed. I'm afraid of that mindset coming back. And I just believe that seed of the adversary, the enemy, who we all know who he is, I think that's somewhere in the mindset of all of what we saw on January 6th. That certainly wasn't godly action.
Well said. Paul, we're going to do this again, bro.
No problem.
We're going to break down some knowledge and stuff because, like I said, a lot of times we don't get a chance to have a deep discussion about things so that people see another side, right? And that voice, that history needs to be taught. I mean, I remember my grandmother used to take care of World War II veterans. They told me stuff that was never written in books that actually happened to them.
Right.
Their story was never told and still not told because it's not written down, nor is it talked about. So people call them fairy tales. It didn't happen because it wasn't written down. Yes, it did happen.
And see, that's why it's up to people like you who knows that to tell those stories and to pass those on. Because many of those people are no longer here and they don't have a voice.
Right.
But you are controlling the airwaves, man, speaking to thousands, out here with, with your podcast itself.
And Paul, you got a podcast yourself. Tell us about your podcast before we get off, sir. What's your podcast?
We Build.
Yes.
We Build. Yes. It's called We Build. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of your streaming platforms. Myself and Lanoya Brooks from the H.J. Russell Company. We just talk about what's happening in Atlanta and talk to some of the movers and shakers that make Atlanta the mecca for African American excellence.
There we have it, folks. There's my man, Paul Bryant. Till next time, we'll see you again on Mom and Dad Talks. Hope you all have a good time. And guys, think and do the right thing today. Have a blessed day.